Hello, I'm Matt Guff from thehouse.com, and this is a dope deck for the 2020 season called the Ride Berzerker. This is Jake Blauvald's all-mountain hard charging deck. This is actually a brand new shape for the 2020 season. There's a slight taper to it. It's a directional style deck for all-mountain hard charge riding. This is basically for intermediate to advanced level free riders. It rides deep snow. It rides groomers really well, and it's actually ultra responsive with a directional style flex, which is stiffer in the tail. But overall, yeah, the nose is going to be a little bit longer, the tail is going to be just a little bit shorter, and there's going to be a slight taper to it to keep the nose afloat in deep snow. The stance is set back 19 millimeters, which is just enough to feel it and definitely see it when you're looking down and riding. The Berzerker is pretty cool because it has a directional hybrid camber profile shape. The nose has a little bit of rocker to it, and whereas the tail doesn't near the contact points past the upkeep, but for the most part the board has a decent amount of camber, as you see there. Maybe not as high as what you'll find in the Helix, but if you want response, stability, and lots of pop, you'll find that in that camber section of the Berzerker. The feel and flex rating, I'd say, is about a 7 or so. It's kind of stepping up into that stiffer area of snowboarding, but it does, again, feature that directional style flex. There's a couple more elements in the tail that make it a little bit stiffer, and because the tail is a little bit shorter, it's going to be a little bit more sturdy back there. And that's really nice because this thing does a really good job at making those really big old turns. Now, I wouldn't say it can't be turned in tight spots, but it really excels well when you're basically taking this thing wide open. Now, inside is kind of a lot, right? And we're going to start out with the center, the core. There's a performance wood core which has a combination of 3 different woods: a strong style aspen, a lightweight paulownia, and a very reactive style bamboo. And rides combine that in combination or in conjunction with Jake to have a hybrid style glass, which is biax on the bottom and then triax on top. Now, the thing that makes the tail a little bit more stiff than what you find in the nose, besides its shorter length, is actually Slime Rods 2.0. So it's similar to what you find in regular slime rods, but it's in the back end, and they're actually kind of angled a little bit differently in a V-style shape. There's 2 rods that are a urethane style sandwiched between 2 pieces of carbon that don't really add a lot of weight, and they don't really make it too stiff, but they make it a little bit more reactive. Like this is a very explosive area of the tail. So even though you have like those big sweeping carves, or the board is able to do these nice sweeping carves, it still pops into an edge-to-edge transition extremely fast. Also, there's carbon array 3 found both on the nose and the tail. That carbon array kind of radiates from the shoulder of each board across the deck. Again, not adding a lot of weight, but still adding a lot of energy to the board. And the Berzerker is ultra strong. It features a roll-in style sidewall that adds extra strength, but doesn't really add a lot of weight, which is nice. And then there's that slime wall style construction, meaning that the Berzerker is going to flex the same in cold temperatures as it does in really warm temperatures. And then, of course, there's this base. This is a sintered style base. It's a stone ground. The structure is actually fairly deep, so remember to brush it out after you keep it waxed up. Now, the interesting thing about the new shape for the Berzerker and Jake is that it has what's called kind of a tapered quadratic side cut radius. What does that mean? That sounds like a lot. It's kind of interesting because there's basically 3 side cut radiuses set on one large one. Now, there's 3 different sizes, of course. On the nose, there's a medium style side cut radius, which has a nice initiation getting into turns. In between your kind of feet is the largest side cut radius, besides the one the other 3 rest upon. Now, that large side cut radius, again, is kind of for those big turns, but then in the tail, there's a smaller side cut radius, which makes it kind of feel progressive because you can really get out of those turns fast. This is a really, really great deck. Jake, from what he says this is his favorite Berzerker shape to date. This is the 2020 Ride Berzerker, and of course you can check it out at thehouse.com by selecting the link below in the description. Leave a comment or question, let me know what you think of the board, subscribe to the channel there, check out more vids there, and hopefully I'll see you guys on snow. Peace.